This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach. Mate, looking forward to everyone's favourite fixture at the weekend. It's not going to be a cold, rainy night, but it is going to be a cold and probably rainy Saturday in Stoke.
So after our last game against Stoke, where it wasn't the ball fest that you expected it to be, how do you feel this time? Because I can also expect you to go into the spiel of like, oh yeah, but every time we play Stoke, it's really boring. But last time it wasn't. So how do you feel, mate?
Well, look, they're a team that are doing their best to break that image, right, of being the team that's sort of rough and hard to play against and a tough place to go. They're trying to play this sort of progressive football under their manager, and they were, doing really well at the start of the season, and their form's dropped off a bit. They're all the way back in 10th now, but I don't know. I think it's a fascinating game for so many reasons because, their form at the moment is so spotty and ours isn't exactly great. But it's definitely an important game in the context of the season for us because, if we don't start and kick on with this, we spent all week talking about whether promotion's possible or not. And the fact of the matter is that it is if we win and start getting wins, right? And if we don't...
Somebody described today as a 6-pointer in one of our comments, and I kind of like, yeah, I don't want to be too dramatic about it, but if we don't start putting points on the table now, like I personally already think that ship has sailed, especially considering that our striker is, top goal scorer in the league, is currently in a 4-way tussle, and maybe not. Who actually knows? However, the idea that we randomly try and desperately bring in a striker to hope fill his boots, it's not positive, is it? But you're right. Like if they want to get anything out of the season, you got to start putting wins on the board right now.
Yeah,
because
especially in these games where it's against teams where, sure, Stoke have sort of dropped off recently, but who are well within that gap that we're going to need to overtake and leapfrog to get there, right? Like it's not. You're right in the sense of it being a 6-pointer, not just because it's 3 points for us, but it's another not 3 points for them. So it's someone else that we're progressing over and above in our climb to there. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be, from our perspective, interesting to see if the boys can sort of pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and come back with any kind of the same intensity that we had in the derby last week. And I think we're all hoping that we can, but I think that also time and time again, last season and this season, it's a team that's shown us that that's not always something they can produce back to back. And with all of this noise around Adam Armstrong, when there's any sort of meat behind it or not, that can't do him any good. And, we're probably, I think we're safe to say before we get to team lineups, probably without Leo. So it doesn't, I don't know. It's a really tough one to know how I feel about going into because of this sort of weird limbo position of the transfer window and season that we're in because of how we've done so far.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think we're still in a bit of a weird limbo space. And I don't know, unless we start doing something about it, it'll be interesting to see what we think in like a month's time, regardless of what the results are, right? I'm just very interested to see what happens if we end up there in a month.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, you'd like to think that the picture will be a lot clearer one way or the other. At least you won't have any of this transfer speculation nonsense to get in people's heads or whatever. But I think in a month's time, we'll either be well on our way or not, right? Like, we will either be well into the midst of that push or that push just isn't going to come. So will sort of be in a state of knowing. But I don't know. It's early kickoff as well. I don't know how I feel about that. It tends to make things a bit more difficult, right?
I mean, like we talked about this before. Like, are we actually worse in midweek? Are we better in midweek? Of when most of our wins come, all that kind of stuff. I don't really think that. I personally don't know if the time's going to make a huge difference on Saturday. I think it is different when it's like late night games, but like the difference between 12:30 and 3 is, they're going to be probably, if it's an away game, they're probably staying in a hotel anyway, so it's going to be by the by. It's just more frustrating for us, I guess. Completely throws my weekend plans off, because you've talked about it before, like, right, you finish watching it and you expect it to be sort of like 5-6 o'clock, and then you're like, hang on, it's like 2-3 o'clock, what's going on?
Yeah,
it's about
sat on the sofa
down. So yeah,
sat on the sofa falling asleep with my Saturday evening plans, and it's only like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, what's going on? Why are there other notifications coming through to my phone about games kicking off? Surely it's nearly bedtime. I mean, Stoke themselves, though, in a bit of injury crisis. The goalkeeper situation, of course, we're quite familiar with, having brought Bazunu in on an emergency loan and also having him out injured. I mean, obviously, he wouldn't have been able to play against us anyway. But
okay,
I mean,
what's my opinion on that? Weren't Pompey slightly injury ravaged?
Yeah.
I want to say, what was it, like Middlesbrough, the game? Millwall, they were slightly injury ravaged. So we've played a couple of teams where supposedly injuries are going to make the difference, and they don't. The only time it makes a difference to us is if Leo's not on the pitch.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, could still happen, considering that we, had the press conference at the strange, like, I know that we kind of complained that it's quite a late Friday. So what Tonda's now decided to do is completely switch it up and just have it like early doors on like a Wednesday, which is kind of like, man, I don't know what's going to happen in those 2 days. Like, a lot could happen.
Yeah.
I quite like Thursday afternoons. It's kind of like, by that point, you've kind of made up your mind. Wednesday morning can still be a thing.
Yeah, it's completely like the opposite end of the extreme, right? It's like, well, I've got this press conference, but I haven't really got any news for you because we haven't started training or preparing for the game yet, because this is the first thing I've done. Like, what? It's completely strange. But yeah, I mean, not just their goalkeeper either, though. They've got a few other players out, so I don't know. That's like you say, it's the sort of banana skin that makes it any Saints fills the Saints fan with dread, right? Oh, the other team's in injury crisis. Oh, well, they'll batter us 3-0 and prove that as not something as a point of concern. It's just
it's up to them to prove us wrong and go out there and do that, right? Like, it's getting to a point where we can discuss this week in, week out. And we do discuss this week in, week out. We discuss it daily, pretty much, because that is what we are, daily podcasters. But like, it is one of those things where, like, when push comes to shove, we can talk. I agree with the guy that says, "Oh, it's a 6-pointer," but also it's like the players are going to be the ones that need to make the difference themselves, right? And this brings me back to your point from, hopefully, the positive from the back of the South Coast Derby is there is a level of togetherness, and and like Jack Stevens, I think, really did show his captain credentials. I don't think that the eve of having all of this upset about one of our our star striker leaving is helpful for anyone involved. But the only people that are going to make the decisive move to win this game are the players themselves. And it's, again, like, how do they want to remember this season? How do they want to remember their first seasons in England for some of them, right? Like, do they want to remember it finishing well below expectations, right? Do they want to be remembered by losing quite heavily to teams that are out playing like the kids? No. Okay, well then, can you guys please make the decision to change it? Because we know they're capable, because they've shown it, right? And like, maybe, it takes a bit of tweaking from Tonda to return to where they were at during our purple patch, right? And we've already seen that he started to try and do that with the back four. Some of the decisions we still don't necessarily agree with, but also, I'm not a football manager that's professional. Like, played about 10 years worth of the video game simulation, but by that stretch of the imagination, we should also be able to sign Ronaldo. So, like, not really. It's not really relevant, but like it does very much feel like for me more so with like today's game and the next couple of fixtures going forward. It's like we talked about it a lot, and we're going to talk about it again. It's like the mental strength and the mental fragility of the team, and like what do they want to get out of it as a unit, because there's going to be a couple of standout performances. Leo Cienza being one of them for this season. We've had that a couple of times, right? We had like when Nathan Teller came back, and then he obviously disappeared off to Leverkusen, where he still remains. But I'm also thinking of while it ended up being a good deal at the time, Romeo Lavia had a really good season with us when we went down, and then was sold on. Matias Fernandez, really good season, but like it's not the team that you're remembering, right? However, when I think of the championship season we did get promoted, I didn't really think of like one standout person. I thought of the standout team, and like you could see that from Ryan Fraser's post when he went to Australia, him standing up on him posting that picture specifically of the day after a thing at the club that you attended, Greg, right? Like you remember what the
Yeah,
atmosphere was like, how good it was.
it's
They
amazing.
celebrated it. And Cienza has become that talisman and that person that we as fans rally behind. And you can see sort of some of the discontent with the other players, and it's got to be annoying and suck sometimes. Some people are going to be happy for the guy, some people are probably going to be a little bit envious because we're all human. But like, if all of a sudden we went on a massive turnaround of form, right? We do make it to the playoffs by some miracle. They put in the best performances they can. They win game after game after game after game after game. Instead of it being sort of like remembering the good parts of one season, even if we falter at the last bit, we'll like remember at least that season everybody rallied around at the end, right, to get it over the line. And yeah, it should have. And I think that's specifically where we're at. Yeah. Now I know that was a big, long-winded explanation from the guy.
You're right, mate.
Lots, but that's kind of where I feel like we are in the season.
No, you're right, mate. And I think we saw some of the starts of that starting to come back. In the derby last week. I mean, if there's a time to put it all out on the line and come together, that's it, right? And we saw that. We saw that in the fracas, which everyone loves to see. And at the end, the players actually standing together, to thank the fans as opposed to all apart. And I think it's more important than sort of from the outside looking in you would give credence to immediately, because it's just
I agree.
such a big part of it. So I mean, hopefully that's what we see, and we sort of see it coming together, and we start seeing it coming together as a unit, and we sort of get over that line and push on. But all right, mate, let's get into who we think's gonna be on that team sheet come early doors tomorrow. So I mean, Peretz in goal is obvious.
Yep. Thank goodness we don't have to have that discussion anymore. Carry on.
Yeah, Brie at right back for me.
Yeah, I agree. Why would we pull him back off if we're not going to play him? He played 90 minutes at Portsmouth. Apparently, when asked about it, Tonda was like, wow, I feel like that's all of the communication he needs. He played 90 minutes. So I feel like dropping him now after being like giving it the big one about how you're communicating by playing him would be kind of nuts. I don't know if Forrestlev's back to it. Angela,
he is Rorslev, I believe, playing for the under-21s on Friday, mentioned in the presser. So get some game time, but probably won't be in the squad for the weekend. Sticking with the fullback, Howard Bellis and Stevens seem to be doing well with it, right? It's working.
Again, technically, and I put this in the big sort of like brackets, technically, we're fighting a team with a goalkeeper crisis, right? So we should, start trying to test that keeper more, because if we test that keeper, we might actually go in, right? Probably what we should have done the first South Coast derby as well, but there we are, swings and roundabouts. So back four.
Wellington at left back
did really well in the South Coast derby. I wouldn't be surprised if Manning comes back in. I kind of feel like they're interchangeable. I was very surprised, honestly, not to see Manning in the South Coast derby at all. But we've been critics of him. He's probably been critical of himself, and clearly Toddler had seen, we can't keep making those mistakes. You're going to have to sit out because of it. But also, I would be surprised if Wellington's had a bit of time out. I don't know what his fitness is like, but I wouldn't really be upset to see either, but I'd probably prefer Wellington. I guess
Yeah,
just
I
don't
think
be too
so. I think
mean.
he was solid defensively, which is not something that we regularly say about Manning. To be
And
fair,
that's what we need with a four back as well, to be honest. We need somebody
yeah,
that can actually get back without it being a problem.
and he's just a bit slightly bigger than Manning and a bit more physical, right? So
Mm.
it's kind of what we're trying to do with our profile and our game is sort of up that, and he just brings a bit more of that to the table. The moving up
Mm-hmm.
is where maybe the first tough decision of the team sheet comes, right? Because
That's
in my
interesting
mind,
that you
you've
didn't
got.
mention centre backs at all, mate. You're just assuming it's
I did.
Stevenson.
Yeah, just Stevens and Harwood Bellis, mate. I said
Okay.
they're working well together. They seem to be more comfortable in a back four from open play to my untrained eye. So
That's my fault for entirely phasing out of reality for a couple of minutes there. Yeah, no, okay, good. Yeah, glad we're in agreement there. As I
yeah,
said, like could bring in Quasi if we need him, but it's. I
yeah,
think that you're right. The synergy between the two works well at the moment, so I change it.
yeah. I mean, if we could just start clearing out corners, like I say, from open play last week, I thought they were excellent. So
It's
I
the
just
the
wouldn't
set
change it.
pieces is always goes back to Charlie Taylor playing for Russell Martin, right? It's been mad. It's gone on forever.
Yeah. But
Sorry,
yeah, so
middle of
yeah,
the park.
there's for me moving up middle of the park. There's sort of three names for two spots, right? Yander, Downs, Shea Charles. How do you think we're going in with it?
I think that so far Tonda's liked to bring Azazov for Charles, right? And
Hmm.
play him in that kind of role. And I think that he's not going to want to change that. Did Downs pick
Well,
up
I
a
don't
yellow
know.
the other day? I'm
In,
surprised he's not suspended. Because he did pick up a yellow, because he's the one that
he
started the
did, yeah.
brawl that we've been fined a ridiculously large amount of money for, where everyone kind of went, really? Really? You're going to think that's going to stop it in the next one? Good job. Like, pocket change to both clubs most of the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I will check it out. But yeah, I mean, I think in the South Coast Derby, we saw Charles come on more in that holding position, and he pushed Yander up into that
True.
10, which
So
didn't
if they're
really work.
interchangeable,
But
yeah, then that's what Charles did better in that role. So I wouldn't really be surprised if he didn't start him yet. I don't know if he's ready for a start yet. Do you? How do you
I don't
feel?
know. I've not heard. He seems sharp. When he came on, he looked sharp, ready to go. He's always been a player with
He had
an
an engine,
absolute
right?
engine on him. Yeah, so I just it doesn't strike me as something that would be a problem. Like he's sure easing his way back in, but just feels like the sort of player that's going to do better with just to hit the ground running. So I don't know.
But then the
It's a
problem
tough
is,
one.
who do you swap out, right? Do you remove Flynn
Yeah,
Downs or do you remove Caspiander, who just at the moment just doesn't? I just don't see that happening ever.
yeah. No, I don't know. Flynn
Would we
is
just be happy with a combination of either of the three? Is this
I think
finally a position we're actually settled where
yeah, I think
we don't mind any of the players that play there? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I think genuinely that's probably the case because I think Flynn loves to put himself about and embrace the physical side of the game, loves a challenge, isn't as comfortable with the progressing forward, and sometimes is too slow, tries to slow the game down, sometimes just a bit too much, but is had an excellent game last week, I think. Yander is good at progressing the game forward. He also puts himself about, but is not as big as either Downs or Charles. He's just a bit lacking in that area. So that's
Dexter
something that
is
he doesn't
probably.
bring to the table that they do. But he's still also been very good in that role. And yeah, Shea Charles just was absolutely essential to our team before he was injured
It's
and
nuts, isn't it, really, when you
in
think
that
about it?
position. So yeah, I genuinely think any combination of those three is absolutely fine, which
Wow.
is, I guess, a nice position to be in. Really,
Nice position to be in. Tough if you're Cam Bragg, even tougher if you're Romeo.
yeah, yeah,
But again, we'll have that conversation later. We're part of the problem.
yeah. Moving up then to the attacking side, Azaz for me probably still gets the look in. I mean, you can't come out in the week with a stat like creates the most chances that with the highest quality in the championship and leave him out. Like I say, what he brings to the game isn't like openly visible all the time because he doesn't put as much running in as everybody else, and that's the thing that you're first to see. But you only have to look at the assist for the goal on against Portsmouth and the what should have been an assist to put Adam Armstrong through on goal to see where his strengths are.
Agreed. I think that's the problem is, right, is when they don't play off it, it kind of feels like he's not really done a lot because of the fact that there's not a lot of other stuff done. But it's a fascinating case, right? Because I still don't quite understand why everybody seems to kind of like, and ourselves included, like I think we've been slightly biased towards him. And I can't really put my finger on why. And you can see that with Borough fans, and I think it's again like the hot and cold. He goes missing sometimes, but is it he goes missing or the rest of the team goes missing, so they can't set him up? Confidence is a big bit as well.
I think it's genuinely, mate, just the visibility of it because if your core strength in the game is your passing game, but it's not coming off, whether it's your fault or the people around you's fault, what you see is someone giving the ball away consistently. Whereas if you're someone like Leo, whose game is to pick up the ball and run forwards at the opposition and make them uncomfortable, some of the time you probably give away the ball as many times, but it looks like you're trying harder, right? Like you're trying to progress the team forward and do more rather than passing it to the other team. So I think it's purely just the visibility of where his strengths lie. And it's just one of those things where when it comes good, it's exceptionally good. But when it's not good, it looks awful. Whereas, Leo gets a bit of an easier ride because what he does, it's
stylish, isn't it? It's fascinating because obviously, as you said, he's got scored a lot of goals, contributed to a lot during our purple patch, and then has been kind of what everyone considers missing since then. Leo's consistently been, what we consider to be involved and up against it and given it his all, and also in comparison hasn't scored as much and hasn't assisted as much, but
just chipped in with a couple of very important goals in the last week alone.
To be clear, this isn't, you have to chastise one to like the other. But I just think I find that the approach to both of them as players from fans and I guess the media outside is kind of fascinating. And
as
really,
well as
really
the visibility of the football, it's also like personality, right? Like Finnazaz is clearly a.
We told you this. We spoke about this before. He's a lot more stoic, right?
He's clearly a quietly confident player as opposed to sort of the biggest personality in the room. Whereas, I mean, you would immediately notice Leo in any room because that's just the type of bubble that he is, and that's fine. And both of those things are fine. It's just that you put those two things together, and that's kind of where the criticism I think comes from. But I think that he's a no-brainer to keep on the team sheet, especially for this game. That's going to be, trying to take more shots is really going to be the name of the game. And then up with him, Fellows on the right is also a no-brainer to me. You start him. And then if Leo's available, he's on the left. But realistically, who are we thinking on the left? Chuck Matsky out there for a go? Or Jay Robinson?
Yeah, I guess so. Because obviously Matsky played in the Tom Fellows role for a little bit last game. I don't know how confident everyone was about that. I don't know if it'll be different against Stoke because it was the fact it was a derby. But it is. I just don't. We don't really have any other options bar Jay Robinson, right?
Well, we could, mate, go for this inside forward role and maybe play two strikers together.
No, that's never happening, Greg. Sorry. Every time you bring it up, it's just not going to happen. We might not even have two strikers, mate, that can play 90 minutes together. Come Saturday.
I didn't say 90 minutes, but you start, for me, Ross Stewart and Adam Armstrong starting together. Like it feels like the obvious choice, right?
From
Like we
time of
talk
recording,
about,
there is still a day and a half, and Adam Armstrong could be gone by that point, mate. In fact,
yeah.
he could be in the lineup against us, if you
Do you
believe
know
all the
what?
rumours.
I'd even take Archer and Stewart playing together though, because we've talked a lot about like the difference in profile and the ability to change the way we're playing towards someone. But how much more powerful is it if you have both of those options at the pitch at the same time? And, the defenders have to try and decide which one in the moment they're going to defend against because it can't be both.
Mm.
It just feels like a no-brainer, and I'm baffled that no one's put it into play in the what feels like 43 years I've been saying it on this podcast. I just I know really all it is, mate. Is just Tall Paul and Cam Archer, like again.
You're just
Yeah.
you're just calling for it again. You're calling for it again and hoping that when it finally happens, it actually works. And if it does, you are the footballing genius. And if not, what are you going to do at that point?
Well, I mean, look, it's either that or I'm just so like rooted in my ways that or I can't get my brain beyond playing in a 4-4-2. Like one of those two ways to look at it. It's either incredibly progressive to play an inside forward with a full on striker and have them play off each other, or we're just going back 10 years. I don't know. It feels like it should work, and if you're not going to have Leo on the pitch, that seems like the sensible way to do it. With all the sort of love and respect in the world for Jay Robinson, it's an impossible situation to put him in to be the player on the pitch that should be replacing Leo, because that's not his game, and he's not that good yet. He's definitely got the potential to be that good one day, but he's not there yet, and it's not a reasonable position to put him in, I don't think. So, I don't know, mate. What do you think? How do you think it will go? Who do you think they'll play where?
I think if Leo's fit, it'll be Leo. I think it'll be Azaz in the middle. I think it'll be Armour up front. I think it'll be Tom Fellows on the right if he's fully fit. And I think if Leo's not fit, it will be Jay Robinson. I don't think that they're going to do anything drastic. I'd like maybe to see. I like your idea. I just don't think it's going to happen. That's all. I just think that they're going to stick to what they know. I think changing to a back four is already as upsetting, and changes and they've had to accommodate for that enough already. So I think trying to do too much up the front as well will result in a little bit of an imbalance. I think I wouldn't be ever opposed to seeing it, like you said.
Yeah,
but
what you really hope for is that having had almost a full week to sort of deal with and prepare, and know that Leo is probably going to be hurt, that they've sort of thought about it in training and done something about it. So we'll see, I guess, how it goes, how it plays out. Right before we get into the bit everyone loves to hear, our own thoughts, vibes, and score predictions. We've got to take a little look at what the AI is saying, mate. It's notoriously not good at predicting this. It's almost as inaccurate as me, right? Has it actually had one right yet?
No,
I don't think so. But the prediction this week is Stoke to avoid defeat, either by win or by draw. Both teams to score and over amounts of goals in play. The plausible outcome being a 2-1 win or a 1-1 draw. I don't know. That's not really the news I wanted to hear, mate. If I'm honest, reading that out, I wish I'd have forgotten about it. I don't know. Does that cheer you up?
The problem is that I could just see it being a draw, mate. I'm not gonna lie. I could see it being a 1-1 draw, which means that we don't progress, but it's not enough for us to be upset about it. Nobody really wants to talk about it. Stoke probably feel like they get something out of it, considering they've got a goalkeeper crisis. And then the limbo of whether or not we're going to go into another patch of form starts up all over again.
Well,
that's why I don't want that to happen. But
at that point, it would become 3 unbeaten, but 5 points from 3 games is not really what we're after.
This is like when you talk about the unbeaten run the first time, like the last time we were in the championship. A lot of it was just drawing in between.
Is that your prediction, mate? Is that what you're going for, or have you got a different vibe?
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling. I'm hoping it's different. I know
Oof.
you're upset, but it's also Stoke, isn't it? So you would have years ago been like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Actually,
Who
no. It would have been made more sense for you last fixture if it was 0-0 than anything
0-0?
else.
Yeah. Where's that goal coming from?
Hopefully, Adam Armstrong. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeps himself
Put it to
in the
bed.
run-in for top. Then he's back with us at that point,
Or
or it's
adds
the
3
last.
million to his price tag.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, or it's the last goal that he sees, right? So
yeah. Oh, crazy. Well, look, mate. Obviously, I'm feeling more positive than you because that's just how we roll on the show, isn't it? I think
yes,
we're gonna have enough to go and do it and put them away. I don't think it's gonna be a demolition job. Oh, I can't bring myself to predict a 1-0, so it's probably gonna have to be 2-1. I don't know. Yeah, 2-1. That sounds good. 2-1 Saints with Ross Stewart and Adam Armstrong both scoring.
nice.
Yeah, seems doable, right? That seems like a realistic outcome.
I don't know what's realistic with this team anymore, mate. Everyone was like HMSP the league, and then we never did that, did we? So
No,
who
there we
knows?
go. But I'll tell you what, we'll soon find out, and we will know.
Yep,
Look,
there will
that
be a
is
football game to watch on Saturday, so that's going to be good.
it's exciting. Look, that is all we've got time for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and thank you, Zach, for joining me
Thank you,
to
mate.
talk about it. Let us know your score predictions, your thoughts. We are Daily Saints Pod everywhere on all the socials, on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, X. Hit us up. Let us know how you're feeling heading into the game. Optimistic, not so sure. We love to hear from you, and we would love to see them all come in. We will be back to talk about it, though, however it plays out, good, bad, or ugly, or all of the above. And we will do so after the game. So we'll see you then. But until then, have a great weekend, everyone. Come on, you Saints.
This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.